We'll review a few things about AI. We'll look at what AI can do for learning. We'll go through some prompt demonstrations. And then I want to show you this guided learning feature in the AIs that you can actually ask it to function as a tutor that learns and helps guide you through the AI. For those of you that have watched the other AI for Retirees series, there's a full introduction in the AI for retirees on health and wellness that explains a lot more about AI. Think of it as a personal assistant for you that you can use. It works with both web and apps, and we're going to use a web browser to access each of the AI tools. You can set up an account or not. Some may let you use it without an account, but the account keeps track of your history. And you basically are having a conversation with an intelligent computer, essentially. And that's the best way to think of it. And you're always in control. You don't have to worry about it running away from you or you're not understanding. You can always ask it to behave in ways you want it to behave or close out your AI chat anytime you want to. It's already part of our daily technology life with maps and traffic routing and photo editing tools that are taking place and voice assistants that help us out, spam filters that track our email inbox, TV recommendations and suggestions for things, fraud detection that help keep your card safe. And so my analogy for AI to help people understand it is this engine versus the car, where the model, you might have heard about these things, these AI models, or there's a new model, or there's version 5.2 or something like that. These are all models that are really helping you learn a few things that are getting going. And the model is the engine. That's what's really the technology working behind the scene. The application, we might be using ChatGPT models, Claude's models, Gemini's, or Copilots. We're using through a web browser or a application we install on our smartphone or computer or tablet. So that's how we use the engine. And we're just driving. So we can ask questions, just like putting your foot on the gas pedal or putting your foot on the brake pedal or turning the steering wheel. We're just asking questions and interacting with the AI in a chat session, just like we would text a person, only we're texting back and forth, which is why it's called chat to an AI. We're not really talking to a person behind it. We're talking to an AI model that is the engine that's powering everything. So for retirees, there's a couple of things AI does really well. It simplifies information, helps with planning, encourages creativity, helps provide reminders, and lets you save time and go into more depth on anything. Now, in particular, there are 4 general tools that I typically refer people to use. They're the most popular out there right now. There's ChatGPT. There's Claude, which is made by a company called Anthropic that has investments from both Amazon and I believe Google as well. There's Gemini, which is Google's AI, and there's Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI. So these are all right now the most popular tools that are out there. Any one of them will give us pretty good responses for what we want to do. They're all going to offer free versions. Start simple, try a few questions. If you feel more comfortable using Gemini, that's great, or ChatGPT or Copilot, or you can use more than one. So for lifelong learning, AI can really be a valuable additional tool because lots of times we can find information on a particular subject, but we may not find an expert or a lesson or an activity or something that we can explore. So we can explore any topic. AI is basically a library of all the knowledge that they've been able to collect in the world. We can get personalized lessons based on our background, our skill, our knowledge level of something. We can get step-by-step guidance in how to do things if we want instruction. We can set the pace. We can set it to a level. We can be a beginner, advanced, intermediate, and the AI will actually help us gauge lessons for that. And it's a great way to maintain mental fitness. Learning any topic is a great way. I used to go to libraries and bookstores, and I still go to bookstores. I would love to scan the shelves, and one book would lead to another. I'd see something interesting. Think of AI as a way to kind of maintain your mental fitness that way. So for topics, it doesn't matter. You can go into history, languages, science, whatever sparks your interest and curiosity. It is a true library of information that you can tap into. You can get personalized lessons. You can say, hey, can you give me a little bit less today? Or can you modify this? Or can you break it up into something simple I can understand? You can get step-by-step tutorials on anything, how to cook, how to take photos, how to, learn an instrument and follow. And you can ask whatever level you want. Some of the AI tools that are out there that are teaching already using AI, like Duolingo. Duolingo uses AI and helps prompt people to review things that they didn't get right and spends a little more time, but it understands that if you're not getting it right away, it'll come up with a simpler way of asking you the question so you don't get frustrated and stuck. AI can create lessons for you that way as well. Really, keeping mentally healthy is important. I kind of believe that, having physically fit, mentally fit, and having connections is really kind of the three pillars of maintaining a great life in retirement. So we're going to look at some sample prompts now and go through a few things that may help us understand how to use AI. I'm going to change my sharing. I've got some notes here on some sample prompts and a few things that I want to learn. And so we're going to go through and I'm going to copy and paste these prompts in. This is ChatGPT. And for those of you that haven't seen these videos before, we've got a chat box here that we enter information into. It looks very similar to Google Gemini. It looks very similar to Microsoft Copilot. It looks very similar to Claude. They all have this box that you would paste things into. On the left-hand column, they have a navigation tool called a sidebar that keeps a history of chats that you might have looked at. Google Gemini has this expanded menu here as well. Copilot has an expanded sidebar menu, and Claude has one. So they're all formatted very similar in similar ways. I'm going to close the sidebars so they don't actually get in the way of what we do. And what you'll also see is a button or a prompt for something called a new chat. When you have a chat, you are having a dialogue with your AI that can continue in the same chat, like talking to the same person and going back and forth with things. And so if you ever want to change subjects dramatically, you can, but you don't have to start a new chat whenever you want to. You have the ability to ask anything. So I'm going to show you just a few comparisons here about teaching me the basics of Spanish using simple sentences. And what ChatGPT is going to come back with is going to assume, okay, let's keep it simple, practical, and friendly. And this is Spanish for everyday conversation, being polite, introductions, etc. How are you? If I go to Gemini and I want to compare this, I will just paste the same prompt in and we'll see what is. And when you paste a prompt in, you want to make sure you hit the submit button. That usually gets it launched right away. So it gives you kind of very similar type of breakdown. So you can see a lot of the AIs are really helping you in a lot of ways. You might get a suggestion to create a short practice dialogue for you if you want to. They're all going to be doing things a little bit differently in terms of what they come back to you with. So this is a simple foundation, essentially greetings, phrases. Now you could ask this about any language or any topic that you might want to have for basics, and then Claude. So I just want to show you a comparison. They all work pretty similarly. And then I'll work with Gemini and Copilot and probably ChatGPT a little bit. So it's going to be useful for you to help and understand these things. And you can copy and paste these. There's usually a little icon here that has two pages sitting on top of each other. That's the copy icon. And you can copy and paste it into another document if you want to. So interesting. I was in Panama recently and I wanted to get an idea. I'm going to start a new chat and I'm going to just ask, explain the history of the Panama Canal in 10 easy bullet points. Now, one of the things you can do is to kind of get the response you want out of AI when you're learning something is say, hey, give me a paragraph, give me a sentence, give me 1,000 words, write an article. You can actually ask it to format it. But I want 10 bullet points of the history of the Panama Canal. I'm going to go 1 through 10. Why people wanted it, what they tried, the French in the 80s, what caused problems when the United States took over, what medical knowledge helped. It uses locks, not a sea level when it opened, control, and etc. So if you want it, you can get a simple diagram explanation, a timeline slide, or how the locks work. And you can have a prompt back and forth with this. So I'd like to know how the locks work, for example. So instead of having to go through an index or a table of contents, you can have a dialogue with your ChatGPT about something that might be helpful in explaining what happens. So this is going to explain how the locks work and explain it to you in an understanding and tool. And so it knows in ChatGPT that I do tech topics and I do analogies and I do other things. So it gives me some additional responses because I have a pro account. Let me go to Gemini and I'm going to click on new chat here and I'm going to paste, give me a beginner's lesson and how Wi-Fi works. You might have some questions you want to learn about it. Let's click on this and it's going to give me a beginner's lesson here on Wi-Fi. So if you think of it, it's a two-way radio conversation. What are some of the core elements? How the data travels over radio, why frequencies matter. You might hear about 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, and why it slows down. And then it will oftentimes, because Google owns Gemini and Google owns YouTube, it often will refer you to a specific YouTube video that is popular that may be helpful to help you understand how it works. If we go to Copilot and I paste that same prompt in, you'll get very similar types of responses and explanations that you'll get from Copilot. When you say beginner, understands that you probably want something basic for somebody who may not understand it. We got a little chart here. We got something that explains channels as well. And sometimes you get a reference here to a resource that you can look. Sometimes they're references, sometimes they're not. Okay. So those are some tools for you. So now I want to learn the fundamentals of photography using my iPhone. So if I go to Gemini and I start a new chat, I will get something on teaching me the fundamentals of photography. So going beyond a point and shoot, mastering your hardware, some things. A lot of people don't think about cleaning the lens on their camera phones, but it's actually valuable to do to make sure you get something good. How to focus, how to compose, rule of thirds, which is a great composition tool, understanding lighting, some quick shortcuts that came into play, and then how to edit photos. So those are some good things. Now, I was not a big baseball fan for a long time. I had played baseball as a kid, but I wanted to learn better to understand the rules because I have some friends I go to coffee with, and I wanted to understand sports rules for baseball in simple terms. So I don't have to always ask simple questions. And so here's the basics. 2 teams play with 9 players, 4 bases. Full game has 9 innings. The goal, when your team is batting, what they try and do, how batters strike out when they get free a walk to a base. When your team is fielding, what running the bases means, what the inning structure means. And it can give you a couple of different options here. Would you like a field diagram? Would you like something more senior friendly? Lots of times you'll get these prompts and you can ask in a follow-up question what you might want to do. So, a cheat sheet might be useful. Okay, so let's see what it'll format for a cheat sheet. So you don't have to stop with the first answer. You can always go back and ask it to reformat or do something a little bit different for you. So those are some resources that you can use. Now, a lot of times we want some brain activity exercises. So you can just ask it, give me a daily brain exercise routine I can do in 10 minutes, and we'll see what it comes up with. So it works memory, focus, language, and creativity, attention, focus, attention, memory boost, a little exercise, pick 5 random objects, close your eyes and recall the color, the location, and one detail, or recall what you had for yesterday's dinner. I did have a friend that was going through some issues with dementia. Lots of times he couldn't remember what he had for a meal the day before. Understanding words, pick a letter and name as many words as you can that begin with a letter. Logical or pattern thinking, spot patterns and license plates, do a simple brain teaser, other things, tips to make it. And this can create a 7-day rotating version or a printable 1-page, or adapt it for particular people with particular interests. So those are all different types of things that you can work there. And one of the other things you can do is you can use it to modify and help you understand things on a schedule. So if you want a learning plan for a new topic, let's take gardening or for gardening, and we'll get an idea for what they might recommend. So it's a 30-day plan for learning. So phase 1, prep days 1 through 10, what you might want to do, determine your hardiness zone. Well, you can always ask, well, how do I to do that? Write down 5 vegetables or flowers you love, learn about compost, getting dirty, maintenance and growth, and some tips. So, and it can help you find plants for a particular climate zone. Now, one of the things I wanted to share with you are some tools. Gemini and ChatGPT and Copilot, and I believe Claude, all have a guided learning mode or tool. So here's something called Help Me Learn. Sometimes you'll see these little prompts down here, and there are some tools here that you can access. So Help Me Learn will typically kick in guided learning. So you can see there's a little button here. What do you want to learn? I'd like to learn about satellite communication. And I'm going to click this and you'll see the types of responses. All I had to do was enter a subject and it's going to give me a guided learning. So this is going to explain what satellite terminology is. Choose an area to explore. So it makes some suggestions. The parking spots in space, the anatomy of a satellite, or modern mega constellations of swarms of small satellites. So which of these sounds most interesting to you? Well, I kind of like space, so I'm going to take parking spots. And all I have to do is enter that. And I just hit my return key or click on the prompt. And this is going to explain this in more depth. So again, it has a guided tool. So it gives you an even suggestion for a logic puzzle, and it gives you the ability to follow up on it. So it guides you through the learning activity in that type of way. So there's also a guided learning tool in ChatGPT that you can access where you might have to go to more, but you can go to study and learn. So it just has study here now. So it knows I want to learn something. I can ask it to explain a topic to me, help me with my homework, create a practice quiz if I want to. So I want to learn something about atmospheric, if I can spell this, rivers. We've got a storm coming in here in Southern California that they keep on referring to this term called atmospheric rivers. And so it's going off and it's going to create something to help me study. Do you think you know what it is? While you think about that, here's a starter idea. Just a sentence or two, no wrong answers. What do you think it is? Okay, I don't know. Well, atmospheric river, I think it's a wind pattern that carries a lot of moisture. So I'm actually answering the AI. It's not answering me. I'm answering it. It recognizes typos. It fixes them for you. So I am now having a two-way dialogue with my AI where it's helping me study. So it's saying, which one do you think matters more for flooding? How strong the wind is or how much moisture the air is carrying? So I just type B. So it's actually giving me some quizzes as I go along to help me learn a subject because I used the plus button. I went to some more features. So I take B now, it's going to give me an answer, and then it's going to go on to some explanation of this, why it's important in California. Finish this sentence. It's giving me quizzes, giving me things to answer. So that's how this guided learning can work. Copilot also has a guided learning tool that you can utilize. So if you want to practice a language, learn a new skill, take a quiz, you can click on this and you can go to study and learn. So when you click on these little options, you may find, what do you want help learning? Well, I'd like to learn about volcanoes in Indonesia. I understand there's an active volcano, lava volcano there. And I just said volcanoes in Indonesia. Oh, it has more active volcanoes than any country in the world, about 127. Key facts, okay, where they're located, most active, historic eruptions. I remember hearing about Krakatoa, famous volcanoes to know, risks and challenges, why it matters. Now, it asked me, would you like me to create a map of Indonesia's major volcanoes? Sometimes it may ask me for more information. So you see, the guided learning works a little bit different in each AI, but they are able, you can study and learn more about each one and use it more effectively for virtually any topic that you might want to do. There's also resources like if you want to find YouTube videos, okay, I can ask Gemini because it's going by Google. It's good, but there are others as well. Find YouTube videos that can help me learn about that. See, found some The Orbits Explained, Leo, Mio, and Geo in 4 minutes. Neil deGrasse Tyson explains the 3 levels of Earth orbit, and another one's a short animation that explains it. It gives you links directly to these videos that you can watch and find. I don't know how well ChatGPT will find YouTube videos and explain this, and we'll see. It doesn't hurt to ask. You can always ask and get an idea of what might be helpful. Here's some good short explainers that are good. ABC News, other things, CBS News, slightly deeper where they go. You can pick the one best video. Sure, one best, okay. And let's see what it comes up with. So it'll go off and research for you. So it's like having a librarian around there, what you can use, how to use it, suggestions. Can you find it for me? And it didn't find it, but I wanted to find it. And so it's going to go off and find it. There it is, finally. Okay. So I don't have to go searching for it. So instead of you going to YouTube and search for things, your AI can go off and do it for you. And the reason is that all YouTube creates a transcript and all of the AIs are able to access the transcripts, and you can watch it directly from these. Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude will all do these things to help you learn something. So I wanted to show you a little bit about what the guided learning does. I'm going to put a list of 20 prompts in the YouTube description notes when I put this up on YouTube. But I wanted to just show you a lot of the resources that are available across ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and Claude that you can use for helping to guide yourself in learning virtually any topic you might want to use. And think of it as having this huge resource available to you, along with a tutor that can help guide you to understand these things and take advantage of it.